Hi and welcome back to Tech TV. I'm Susie Harrison and I'm joined by Mark Rolston, founder and chief creative officer of Argo Design. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
How do you think AI will evolve in terms of trustworthiness and privacy?
Great question. Right now I think, so as a designer, we are dealing with both the sort of technical side of it and the social side of it. And the social side of it right now struggles with, you might say, the legacy of looking at AI through the lens of science fiction, right? Through the lens of storytelling, and through some of the most recent modern phenomena of technologies emerging to a place where they're not necessarily trusted, right? They are in the public sphere, you might say, having a difficult number of years. Things like Facebook, Twitter, almost the immediate discussion around Twitter in the last few days, with Elon Musk taking over, and other social networks. And those, while they're not specifically representative of AI, they set the tenor for the concept of trusting technology. AI technology in the public sphere is almost one and the same. AI is just sort of the advanced idea of that. And so for us, we see a longer road in imbuing, you might say, a sense of trust in the public. Design is one of those mechanisms. Some of it's just going to be time to experience the world driven by AI for enough years in ways that you learn are actually useful to you, as opposed to, right now, I'd say the modern phenomenon, if you stopped and paid attention, most of AI is pointed at you rather than in service of you. The advertising is probably one of the biggest consumers of it in terms of the consumer experience. So for us, some of that is just helping design interfaces that make it clear what's going on behind the scenes, right? And a lot of that is just the provenance of information that's being delivered to the end user so that they can start to understand why they're getting certain data, certain information. You go look up a pair of shoes, why do I see these shoes and not a bunch of other shoes? What do you know about me that's inferring I might be interested in these? And understanding some of that is innocuous and some of it's being used for you. And I think that will grow a layer of trust. It's going to take time though, and it's going to take these systems basically growing up and becoming part of everyday life.
And how do you see that playing out over the next year, next few years?
In the next few years, first of all, we have to, first and foremost, you might say, see the social networks phenomena become background so that we can put real AI subject matter in the foreground, right? And I think also there are a lot of, I think, really important developments happening with AI inside of larger companies. And those things will eventually percolate down to the public sphere. And at maturity, having seen AI succeed in companies, in larger companies, in data management, data processing, and customer service phenomena, will make it easier for the public to accept.
And how do you think AI will be made more accessible to the layperson?
It's funny, it's pretty simple. Right now, so much of using software is a manual problem, right? A manual task. Let's say I want to find a pair of shoes. I ask for a pair of shoes, and whether it's a pair of shoes or I'm managing inventory for a large company, in both cases, people using computers, in the most simple terms, are consuming a lot of content, making choices out of that content. You might say they're doing a lot of culling and sorting, something you do on Amazon and something you do in enterprise resource software, right? Either way, you're consuming, managing, culling, and then making selections and processing that, and the computer's helping you, but you still do a lot of work. Well, AI, most important thing to end users, is that it's helping infer what it is you're looking for, what it is you might need right then. It's shortcutting a lot of that interface. And that's fantastic, right? It makes our jobs much more direct, much more value-centric, as opposed to the manual processing that we're doing, and it requires we tell better stories to the user about why that's happening, right? I used the word provenance before. It is a central idea. If you ask for shoes, black shoes, nice pair of red boots, and it gives you just 3 or 4 red boots, or if it gives you all the red boots, first of all, you understand. Those are the boots they have, right? But if you ask and it gives you 3 of them, why? So telling that story is the immediate problem to solve, and this happens, of course, every wake of life, every aspect of life, in engaging computers, and the better we're doing that, the more people will trust systems and the more AI will be useful.
And how do you think we in the AI industry can be agents of positive change for the sector?
Well, one is we have to learn how to, because we're changing the way people are engaging content, interfaces, and that's business content and consumer content both. We need to fill in those new gaps, right? Why is it content's changing, the stories are changing, with new storytelling about how this information's being selected, how this information's being processed. Those are new problems we have to introduce. The second thing is we need more transparency, right? So that's, in a lot of ways, it's interfaces, reports, consoles, and monitors that essentially allow us to see what's going on. I mean, one of the real challenges right now is, for a lot of AI, we're not exactly sure how it's doing its fundamental processing, but we can still hang off of that some sense of story, and I'm using the most general terms, right? It's a very technical subject, but it still comes down to why are we getting these results as opposed to the larger realm of possible results. And the more we can tell those stories, the more people can fine-tune that content, and from that, build trust in the potential outcomes. Right? If we don't know why it's coming out, it's really hard to ask for people to trust us in using that technology.
Yeah. And so where else do you think AI can and will evolve?
Oh, everything about life, simplest. It will consume everything about life, in the same way software has done that. But some recent phenomena that I think is super exciting is, on our end, as designers, right, we're dealing with a highly technical subject in the case of AI, but we've used it for the first time in the last few months to actually generate content, which is, first of all, it's super scary, because that's our job. It's generating solutions that we coached it to generate, but the final content was produced by an AI. So we offered textual instructions, and using Stable Diffusion, generated pieces of artwork that will be used in final products. We also generated several voiceovers for major corporations, video, the voice track to a video introduction to a major piece of enterprise software. And it's the typical trustworthy Morgan Freeman voice, but it's an AI.
Right.
No human touched it. And that's crazy. That was a first for us. It's not that we don't do video as a mainstream of our work, but because we'd created this new product, we needed to tell the story about it. And it was the first time we trusted an AI to generate a high quality enough product. It's being used to write copy. We think about everything you consume in the next few years has a very high likelihood of being generated by an AI, or at least participated in the generation. And that way you can imagine the future's sort of the quantum internet. People talking about quantum computing, several of these booths are talking about quantum computing. And I can throw out the term here, quantum internet, in the sense that every web page, every piece of content on that page, every application, rather than sitting waiting for you to open it and consume what was created for it, it will not exist until the moment you ask for it, and you ask for that specific piece of content, and it will happen at that moment. And it takes AI to be able to do that, to compose the page you need to see with the shoes you're looking for at the very moment you ask for it, where you're standing, in the mode you're in depending on the person you are and the history that you have. You'll see the one and only instance of that web page or that app for that few seconds that you need it, and then it disappears. And that's, if I can convey that in the right words, it is one of the most fundamental changes to how all of our computing experiences are today. And so it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's happening right now. You know, I don't have to sound futuristic about that idea. And if I point at like Amazon.com, the homepage of that, while there's a lot of ordinary product pages, the homepage of that doesn't exist until you go to it. But that's Amazon, and that's a few other higher end, customized, personalized experiences. Most of the rest of the software we consume is not.
Right.
Imagine everything being like that.
Great, well thank you so much for joining us, Mark, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, have a good one.